are these people?
We have not done a Moon of Alabama story in a while. I know. Come on. Say it, Reef. Correct me.
Alabama.
There you go. Thank you. So
it's just how you're supposed to say it. It's just that's how it's said.
It's a very AOL chat board 2019 style of website that has some people that post to it and regular writers, and then like a bulletin board underneath it, and they'll repost articles like this. So this comments on Ted Snyder's Antiwar.com article, Is America a Rogue Superpower? All right, and we'll get to that. But I like their commentary that they add on it. All right, that unipolar used to mean that the U.S. was, at least in theory, alone in leading the world. Now unipolar means that the U.S. is alone and isolated in opposition to the world. Right? Snyder refers to the recent UN Security Council resolution, which demands a ceasefire in Gaza and demands a release of hostages and demands the unhindered supply of food and other items to Gaza. The U.S., of course, has claimed...
And this is Dan Schneider?
This is Ted Snyder. Ted Snyder from Antiwar. No, not Dan Schneider. No, not... No. Oh, God, not the Nickelodeon guy. I would not like him. But the U.S. has continued to run around and scream that this resolution was non-binding. On March 25th, the U.S. went one step further and took a step toward becoming a rogue state who has supplanted international law with its rules-based order. International law is grounded in the charter system and the UN is universally applicable. The rules-based order is composed of unwritten laws whose source, consent, and legitimacy are unknown. To the global majority, these unwritten laws have the appearance of being invoked when they benefit the U.S. and its partners and not being invoked when they don't. On March 25th, Security Council... Right.
It's Rob Schneider. That's who I thought.
Derp. Rob Schneider is a carrot. No, it's not Rob Schneider either. On March 25th, the Security Council passed a resolution demanding that immediate ceasefire for the month of Ramadan, respected by all parties, leading to a lasting, sustainable ceasefire. And of course, we know how Israel responded by bombing everywhere, including including Lebanon and Syria, in addition to Gaza. The resolution was able to pass because the U.S. stood aside and let the other 14 security members pass it by abstaining instead of vetoing. But in her explanation of the American abstention after the UN resolution passed, U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda the Butcher Thomas Greenfield, with blood on her hands, surprisingly said that we fully support some of the critical objectives in this non-binding resolution. Because she's so dumb, she didn't even know that she was not voting for a binding resolution. Her claim that the Security Council was non-binding was not an off-script, impromptu comment. It is the strategy of a country that enforces not international law, but the U.S.-led rules-based order. It only applies when we do it. It doesn't apply when we do it, only when others do it. Famous writer Arnaud Bertrand, the French author, French independent journalist, added a similar thought, quote, "Since the beginning, it's been obvious that Gaza was in many ways a fight between international law and U.S.'s rules-based order. This whole episode around the UN resolution is a perfect illustration of this. There is no debate amongst international law scholars that resolutions by the UN Security Council that demand certain actions are binding. In fact, resolutions by the Council are international law. Article 25 of the UN Charter clearly states that the members of the UN agree to accept and carry out the decisions of the Security Council in accordance with the present charter," quote unquote. Yet the U.S. now argues that the rule is in fact different, that it's a non-binding resolution, so there's no impact at all on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? Yeah, they're really saying this. Where is this rule written? That somehow when the UNSC demands an immediate ceasefire for the month of Ramadan, respected by all parties, leading to a lasting, sustainable ceasefire. It's not binding and there's no impact at all on the warring party? Nowhere. That's the beauty of the rules-based order. The rules are made up in the moment to fit the interests of the U.S. and its henchmen, depending on the circumstances. Yep. And that makes me think of the what is it? The character from Watchmen, the I made it up thing. Yes, over. Yes.
Oh.
We made it up.
Yep.
The big issue here is that the whole world literally disagrees with the U.S. claims. Here's Ted Snyder again from Antiwar. All UN Security Council resolutions are legally binding and have the status of international law. That is why UN Secretary General Guterres said, quote, this resolution must be implemented. Failure will be unforgivable. The problem is what are the consequences to the U.S. and to Israel by ignoring them? UN Deputy Spokesperson explained that all resolutions of the Security Council are international law. They are as binding as international laws, which a lot of people say you could wipe your ass with and that are equivalent to toilet paper in the first place. That's what I learned the minute I got into international business class.
Okay. Is
Seriously,
that like international journalism school?
Well, once I got to college, no. When I was in college, I literally took. I minored in. My major was in business administration, specializing in international business. I was working for a company.
You should have thought bigger and went for interdimensional business, like something. You know,
that would have been original. Yes. Others responded the same way to the U.S. claim.
Yep.
Right? On behalf of the 10 elected members of the Security Council who drafted the resolution, Mozambique's envoy to the UN said all UN Security Council resolutions are binding and mandatory. He then added that it is the hope of the 10 that the resolution adopted today will be implemented in good faith by all parties, but we know that's not going to happen. The UK also did not share the U.S. claim, prompting their envoy to the UN to say, we expect all council resolutions to be implemented. This one is not any different. Demands in this resolution are absolutely clear. Which is interesting because the UK is also...
We're sorry.
The UK is also helping to fund and arm Israel and sending soldiers over there who now should be prosecuted for war crimes the minute they return. But that's another story. What?
They also might want out, you know, like, you know, they're already getting a ton of slack for Elbit being there.
Yes.
Right? Like, funding that. They're also getting slack for Ukraine funding, too. Like, so, yes.
Mastermind,
nice
you're not supposed to tell anybody.
And not do that. International business?
Yes,
Big business.
He was a coke smuggler? No, I was not a coke smuggler. No, I was literally just studying. But yes, I thought it was funny anyway. That's very funny. Very good. Very good. The UK also did not
want people to know.
Did not share the US claim, prompting their envoy to the UN to say, quote, we expect all council resolutions to be intimate. Well, I read that one already. Sorry. France too rejects the US claim and insists that that resolution is absolutely binding and especially binding for Israel. Again, who gives a fuck what France thinks? What are they going to do? Oh, Maurice Chevalier. Oh, we are all Maurice Chevalier now. Oh. Anyway,
we still want to send troops to Ukraine, but
Day 177 Ghost Art posted over on Rumble. During the past 24 hours, 8 massacres committed by the Israeli occupation, allegedly 77 people killed and 108 injured. It's happening every day during Ramadan. They're ignoring it. They're flouting it. They're giving us all the middle finger while they're doing so. Of course, Russia's foreign ministry and
would the French give the middle finger?
Well, they
I feel
can't.
like they would use something else.
They can't. Well, they would use the well, no, you remember the story. No, it's actually the British. You can't, I block me, you. Yes, okay. They cut the middle fingers off. That's why you get the middle finger of the thing. Anyway, Russia.
Not true, but good story, isn't it?
Well, yes.
You know.
Russia. By the way, did you know that the Russian, that the UN ambassador to Russia at the United Nations was on INN on Friday talking with Reade here, so you can go back and check that out. His name is Dmitry. Go check him out. That was an interesting half-hour sit down. Yes, Polyansky. I didn't want to butcher it, but Russia's foreign ministry said Tuesday
this very thing.
That the UN security resolution, which calls for an immediate ceasefire, is absolutely binding, right? Including providing the Israeli Operation Rafah, freeing hostages, and increasing humanitarian assistance to civilians in the sector. For the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, including 2 major U.S. allies, all of its non-permanent members, and the UN Security Secretary General have explicitly said that the resolution is binding. The U.S., plus a few of its minor proxies, is the only state which publicly disputes that it's not. That whether it's binding or not. So the problem is that this is going to have huge consequences. Huge consequences. Why? There's no overstating how consequential this is for the integrity of the international relations, because by doing so, the U.S. effectively destroys the world order it largely created after World War II, because it effectively tells everyone that the set of institutions, rules, and norms that underpin it are meaningless. We're effectively now in a world system where everyone realizes the police, the government, the basic set of beliefs have become completely corrupted. Welcome to the United States of America, sir. This changes everything. Yes. Well, what comes next? I think there's no coming back.
What?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. But it's not just Joe. What comes next?
It's not Joe.
I think there's no coming back for the U.S. And I think they know this, maybe unconsciously. Otherwise, they'd at least pretend to act for the better good of all. But the fact that they don't shows they've effectively abdicated ambitions to restore their hegemony. Now they're nakedly in it to milk the system for themselves. Universal pretensions have gone. That is really poetry right there. Arnold Bertrand. Follow him on.
Nakedly milking the system, are they?
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
This UN Security Council is not the only institution, of course, which the U.S. tries to destroy after having largely created it. The WTO lost its appeal court in 2019 thanks to Trump. Right? He just decided that he was going to ignore it. The U.S. is now using protectionism, subsidies, and tariffs, which are clearly illegal under WTO rules it had previously agreed to. But as it's managed, without having any serious argument to destroy the WTO's court, theirs is no longer a direct way that they can be penalized at all for it. But trade is only one field which international relations and other WTO members have found ways to solve disputes other ways, even without the court. The stakes are much higher when it comes to matters of peace and of wars waged with the intent of genocide. Bertrand says and concludes with, most countries don't want to live in eat or get eaten, might makes right world without rules or norms. So in time, a new system will arise, most likely led by China and BRICS, I will add. The biggest unknowns being, can it arise without a major global war? I'm guessing not, sadly. Who will lead the construction of its foundations? Like I said, it will likely be BRICS. And how can it be set up so that this time around it's fair for all and respected by all? That I don't know, because as Jimmy Dore very much says, the U.S. is now the terrorists. Like, we're just going and lighting shit on fire and destroying shit. We're like that guy who, before he runs out of the restaurant, knocks all the stuff over, so they have to spend the next half hour cleaning shit up rather than actually making stuff better. Doesn't help anybody.
Fucking stop.
Right? Yeah.
Who are these people?
That guy. So Yeah, it's bad that, we've been exposed as, just blindly running for profit at this point and milking it for all we possibly can for as long as we possibly can remaining.